we're getting our DMR on in this episode of Airsoftology Reviews. So if you guys know, there's a lot of different options out there for guns. You've got CQB guns, you have like assault rifles kind of there in the middle. Then you have sniper rifles, but there's an often overlooked class of guns, and that is the DMR, or Designated Marksman Rifle. And that's where the Masada ACR SPR, for a special purpose rifle, I'm full of acronyms on this video, comes into play. So the SPR is definitely purpose-built for those of you who are looking for something as an alternate to the M16. It is a very long barrel. I'm gonna get it up here because it's really hard to get on camera, the whole thing. We're talking all the way to the tips of my fingers. So you're looking at something that's going to really reach out and touch someone. You're looking at dang near 18 inches of barrel. So you're looking at a lot of accuracy. And externally, this gun is built for being a designated marksman. So I'm going to run over all the features here on the outside before we get to the internals, so you get to know the gun a little better and all its features, because there are some things you get and some things you actually lose when you move to a DMR type rifle. So externally, you're looking at a blend of polymer and metal. And this is the A&K build here for it, but is the licensed, fully licensed Magpul ACR/Masada. So starting with the metal components on the top upper receiver here. So this component from here down, you do get a metal build. Metal top rail, metal upper receiver, and then of course a metal outer barrel. The other metal bits are scattered all over the polymer lower and handguard. So you actually have swivel sling attachments here in the front on left and right. You got a swivel sling attachment here in the back. Pretty much all the bits and screws, as well as your flip up front sight and removable rear sight. And let me hit the rear sight before we go any farther. This is a really nice rear sight. I've never seen one exactly like this in airsoft. It does flip up like you would normally get on this small little peephole style sight, and you do get windage adjustment knob here on the right side. On the left side, you actually have elevation based on the numbers. They went so far as to kind of go with that designated marksman rifle all the way out to 600 yards, and you can adjust it. Now, in reality, you're not hitting 600 yards in airsoft, but I thought it was a pretty neat touch to add that feature, and it's something they really didn't have to. And because this is licensed, you're looking at a really high quality polymer. I mean, this thing's nylon fiber, very well made for the full handguard that is extremely long. I mean, you're looking at from here all the way up is the handguard. Your battery actually goes up underneath this. And then of course, on the back side, when you look at the stock, it's not folding. So this is a fixed stock, and that's what you expect for a special purpose rifle or designated marksman rifle. You're not gonna be able to fold it, but you do get some adjustability. This end piece, I've got it cranked all the way out for you here with the rubber butt pad on the end. You can actually move that all the way in using this dial here, and you've got an adjustable cheek weld where you can move the dials up and down, because we did talk about those sights earlier, but let's face it, if you're a DMR roll, it's all about that scope, and having that adjustable cheek weld is gonna be a big benefit. And we did talk about the sling attachment points with the swivel ones in the front and rear. If you're a little more traditional in your sling, don't worry about that. You actually have a sling attachment point here that's made of metal, and also one back here on the stock, albeit they are on the left-hand side of the gun. You do have a lack of them on the right. In fact, the only swivel attachment point or any kind of sling attachment point is the one up in the front by where the handguard meets the body. And now that we're looking at differences, we're going to similarities. And if you guys are familiar with the Masada or the ACR, the fire controls are very similar. You're looking at an ambidextrous fire control, left and right-handed. In fact, this is a pretty lefty-friendly gun. The bolt release is here at your pointer finger, and it works on both sides. Mag release is ambidextrous, and fire controls are ambidextrous. So whether you're lefty or righty, this is going to be a perfect gun for you, and really steps up and takes advantage of a DMR platform versus going with an M16 platform, which not necessarily is ambidextrous. And even if you want to have the realistic fire, like the actual bolt moved over, the charging handle, you can actually take it out and flip it around to the other side and make it fully lefty compatible. So rounding out the build, you do get a high cap magazine, 300 rounds. It is a high cap, you got the wheel at the bottom. Personally, being a DMR, I would probably swap this out to a mid cap or a lower one, so you actually get a little lower profile on the front. But the high cap is a nice touch. It's kind of what you're gonna want when you pick up a new rifle. Also, for one more special feature I forgot to mention earlier in the stock, and this I thought was pretty cool that they added it. Hiding here underneath, you can actually slide this component right off, and it gives you a small bit of rail system. And I talked about getting low to the ground, but if you didn't want to necessarily get low to the ground, or you want to have a little more stable shooting platform, this is here to add a rear bipod, which I thought was such a cool touch. They didn't have to do that. They could have just molded this thing right on in and forgot about it, but it's neat that they added that feature in there just to round out this designated marksman rifle. So under the hood, you're getting an A&K build, so it's pretty solid. It's going to be a good middle-of-the-run budget metal mech box. The Hopup itself is clear plastic, and this is the one area you might want to really work with. The way it adjusts here, it uses a clip on the top, and it moves forward very slowly. Is probably one of those few areas I really wish they would have improved on. I would love to have seen one of those rotary-style Hopups here and not the little slider kind. It can be a little tough to dial in, but you still can do it, and you can still land those great shots. But down the road, if you guys are looking for something a little more beefy on the Hopup, might want to look at swapping that piece out. And to get to the Hopup, you just pull it and lock it back, and then of course, like I said earlier with that bolt release, you can smack it on forward. So taking this thing to the chronos, where I was really pleasantly surprised. I was braced for a high 300s gun, but no, because it's a DMR, they really give you the power. You're looking at darn near 430 feet per second on this, and if you throw an 11.1 LiPo up on this handguard up here with the battery stored, you can really let it rip. I think the only challenge with that higher FPS is you're going to be dealing with some fields that may not allow it. So be mindful, you might have to do something to pin the fire selector to make it semi-auto only, or doing a little bit of modding internally with like the fire selector plate to accommodate that as well if your tech skills are up to that level. But if your field does allow it and they trust you to run this thing at normal levels, you can definitely reach out and touch somebody with that extra feet per second power. So guys, if you've been wanting to take over that DMR role, not ready to make the investment and be a sniper and kind of be at a disadvantage for rate of fire when things get crazy, and you want something very different than the standard array of M4s out there, definitely take a look at the Masada SPR, and this thing you can pick up for well under $200. And I'll have a link in the description below if you guys want to check out more and see what this gun's all about. As always, thanks for tuning in. If you're not currently a subscriber, click on the logo on the bottom right or in the description and you'll always be in the know. Plus, if you like what you saw in this video and want to learn more, I've got a link down there as well. And if you haven't had your airsoft fixed just yet, click in the videos on the right or use the info button at the top of the screen for more. And as the saying goes, everyone has an opinion, and I do want to hear yours. So give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on this video, comment, and share.